Tradelands. Tradelands is a naval-style game which has been on Roblox for 8 years, created by Narnarstein, with boats, combat, trading, factions, the solidarity of the community, the ability to be able to take part in online navies and roleplay is really immersive, and Tradelands offers that. On the surface, Tradelands looks like a really peaceful game with nothing to hide behind it. Right? No? Well, this video is going to dive deeper into the misdeeds of Tradelands, the moderation, the pedophilia, how people abuse the platform, the gameplay itself, what other people think, the oppression, the list goes on. This video is going to uncover it all. The pedophilia, it's broad, it's vast, there's a lot of it. It's mostly in the depths of Tradelands, but it happens. We're going to dive into this first. It's the 15th of February, 2018. Our user in question, under the name of Zyvenwolf, interacts with our first victim, who will be left unnamed. Zyvenwolf is 17 to 18 years old, victim 1 is 15. The fact that this case stands out is that Zyvenwolf is a moderator for Tradelands. They moderated the game from mid-2018 to early 2021. The DM is opened with what looks to be an E621 link. Interesting. E621 is a furry pornography site. Zyven has sent this to someone much younger than him. That's not a good sign, and this is the first message in the direct message history, which right off the bat raises concern. Further into the direct messages, and Zyvenwolf is talking about wanting to grope. It's nasty, especially when an adult starts talking about his want to grope in front of a minor. It's not okay. There's talk of hugging too, but that doesn't seem to give us as much or lead anywhere. Diving even further into the pit of direct messages between Zyvenwolf and the victim, Zyvenwolf asks stuff like, have you become a cum slut yet? And how's Fairfax life going? It's stuff like this which is where the questions arise. Saying this material to users much younger than yourself isn't an okay thing to do. It's a crime. From our first victim alone, we right off the bat see Zyvenwolf engage with minors in erotic roleplay and talking about sexual material. But it doesn't stop. A year later, Zyvenwolf gets into contact with yet another victim, who will be unnamed for anonymous purposes. In late winter of 2019, Zyven, who is now 19, begins to contact victim 2, who is only 15, initiating furry roleplay and erotic roleplay. In this screenshot, Zyven is talking about the victim as a slut, also taking about this victim sexually, talking about his quote-unquote cheeks, also saying that this victim is accordingly full of, as he describes it, dragon seed. Lower down in the messages, Zy talks about the victim as being loose, and that quote-unquote what happens when you're bedded by him. To emphasise this, Zyven is now talking about having sex with this user, as this is what bedding is coined as. It doesn't even stop here. At the bottom of the screenshot, Zyven is now talking about wanting to publicly breed this victim, a minor. He's saying this as an adult to a minor, and that is still not okay. And to finish this picture off, Zyven talks about wanting the victim to take purple dick. And there's even more. In another screenshot with the same victim, he calls him sloppy, and that he should spread something in his direct messages. Also, within the game's own Tradelands Discord, Zyven talks about heavily erotic material, such as talking about dildos and rape. There are going to be minors in this chat. The game's platform, which is Roblox, is based entirely on appealing to the younger generation. This was all before or during him becoming a moderator, where he should be setting an example. Now, you may be thinking, how is this Tradelands' fault? The actions of a few should not be the entire game's fault. However, both Narnarstein and JB were allegedly well aware of the issue at hand. According to the first victim, who reported it with the second victim, the moderation team had ignored them, then allegedly banned them when they spoke out about it. I can't make the link myself, as there's no proof from either side of the argument that the ban was or was not for that reason. However, I think it was for that reason. Narnarstein would often say untruthful stuff about victim 1, that this victim was dating a teenager and said he was 20. However, when I looked to myself, I did not see any of this. I didn't even see him saying he was dating a teenager despite him being a teenager at the time. Narnarstein never even gave proof in the comments chat. He would just make falsified statements without any proof. He never even gave a full reason as to why victim 1 was fully banned. He also went on about cherry-picking these images. There's no cherry-picking about the pedophilia. It happened, the evidence is in front of you. Any more doesn't change anything. And if you think that's it, it's not. On the 4th of February, I wake up to a message from JB, who had asked my friend to ban me for quote-unquote harassing Zyvan on an unofficial Tradelands Discord server I moderated in called Price Guide. Now, the context is that I didn't harass Zy. I had my own channel in the Discord where I'd post things, and I posted some of the things Zyvan had been doing. I posted 2 images, the one talking about dildos and the one talking about rape. Not at all is this me harassing Zyvan. 2 images, a few sentences as well, that's it. I of course encouraged my friend to ban me, because Joe was blackmailing to ban said friend if I wasn't banned. I did get banned, so I DM'd Joe about it. I was livid. The community I've been in for 18 months, I had to be removed because of posting the truth. A few things I wanted to share in our message history include: Joe never gave me a straightforward answer to the Zyvan Wolf pedophilia. It was either a no comment or he wasn't involved. However, from the victim, he was involved. 2 conflicting statements. One or the other is lying, and I have a feeling it's Joe, because why else would he want me removed from Price Guide? He also never gave a comment onto how what I did was harassment. Was what I did harassment? No. It was the oppression, because he saw me speaking out about what his moderation team did, and he didn't like that. He wanted me to keep silence, so as little people could know the truth as possible. He blockaded my freedom of speech through corruptivity and blackmail. He also encouraged the use of contacting authorities. However, it's not like at all like I know where he lives or any of Zyvan's personal details. Somehow contacting authorities is more logical than banning Zyvan. Joe had the power to do that, and he didn't. He only suggested authorities. He also said that everyone had seen these screenshots. If everyone's seen these screenshots, then why was nothing done about Joe's end about it? Nothing was done, because he didn't want anything to be done. He wanted to protect Zyvan. The following day, Joe and my friend Val, who's helped me create this video, got into an argument over at the Price Guide Discord. Once Joe realised he couldn't give a straight answer, he asked the owner of the server to also ban Val. Instead, Val pulled a mega reverse Uno card and banned off Joe. Hurrah! The issue was solved. Except it wasn't. Joe's retaliation was to ban all Price Guide staff from Tradelands, even ones who had no involvement. It's so hilariously childish that Joe wants to ban the entire team gone because he can't handle the truth. It's also upsetting on the owner's behalf, who was a complete third party and had no involvement. The same day, in the United Factions Assembly, another unofficial Tradelands Discord, the mods wanted me gone there too, except their reason was different, in the sense of being heavily volatile. It kept changing. The first reason was the same as Price Guide. Then it changed that I apparently wanted Joe arrested and that I'm harassing him. Then after that, it changed to me apparently being underage. The amount of times they changed their reason really brings some suspicion to the table. And finally, from hidden sources I know not much of, allegedly from a TL mod, Narnarstein was making a case against me, and that when the video is up, he is going to go BAM! I'm looking forward to it. I want to go back to the Price Guide situation for a second. The owner did end up getting banned from the Tradelands as a whole, meaning Price Guide has evolved as a platform. I want to highlight Joe's involvement in the third-party people who had no part to play, which Joe involved through blackmail. It's so futile and absurd. The owner also tried to fix the situation, but Joe would often leave said owner on red and not reply, flat out banning him, saying he'd burnt bridges despite him trying to sort the situation. And to clear up the entirety of the moderator involvement, the day following, Joe released a statement regarding the situation at hand in the Tradelands announcements. At first, it looked promising. Zyvan was banned, and it was relayed to Discord and Roblox, but it just turned into some pathetic regurgitation of what the player base actually wanted. Not at any point was there a mention of pedophilia, so most of the community had no clue what was going on. There was no apology despite nothing being done about this for 2 years, let alone any recognition from the moderation team for letting this individual stay in the community despite allegations at the time. We were also still accused of harassing Zy, but once again I posted just 2 screenshots of Zyvan, which isn't harassment. There was never any unban for anyone who endured the treatment from the mods, when third parties such as the owner of Price Guide getting banned for their users speaking out about it. Narnarstein still tried to cover up Zyvan's misdeeds in the TLO comments by once again lying about his age. Bruh. Also saying that I was out to ruin Joe's career. I can't understand how they plucked that from me speaking about pedophiles, but they did. You know what's funny? Both Joe and Narnarstein still have Zyvan added on Roblox, despite him being a pedophile. And one final thing. Remember how I said Joe told me he wasn't involved in the Zyvan Wolf pedophile case? He sure knows a lot for someone who wasn't involved. We're now going to go into some more of the cases of paedophilia which the moderation team have done little to no action against. One in particular being Scotty Squatch. Scotty was 21 at the time, with the first of a few victims being 16 at the time. Scotty wasn't nearly as crude as Ivan, only going over hugging, kissing, cuddling, but it's still 100% not okay, and does show Scotty as being a plausible pedophile. There were also allegations of other victims, though I have no proof to said back it up. From an anonymous source said Scotty had been going after 13 to 15 year olds. When age was brought up, Scotty played the normal "I didn't know his age" card, which doesn't excuse it. Once again, like the Ivan case, Roblox is full of minors. Age should have been brought up by Scotty. Then a couple months later, from a moderator in the UFA server, Scotty had once again been on the prowl after being caught for the first time. The mod team links in, as this is one of the victim's own accounts. The mod team took 3 months to ban off Scotty after reported. Of course, again, I can't confirm this, as there's no genuine proof of the wait being 3 months. However, the first reported event was Scotty in December 2020, and Scotty still has messages in TAO up to February 2021. Another user under the name of Elemisario1, who was more on the visual side of being a pedophile, would send nudes of himself to 13-year-olds unsolicitedly, give rape threats in the voice channels in the Tradelands Discord, and also take explicit photos of his stuff, we'll call it, to other people. From an account of 2 victims, El Emisario was never banned. At least they weren't able to be informed about it, blockading their safety within Tradelands. It's absolutely vile that a user hasn't been removed from the community for these acts. It's really disgusting and makes everyone feel unsafe. I just want to elaborate here. Not at all am I saying the moderation team don't 100% ban all the pedophiles supported. However, they don't take enough action onto the ones that have been reported who have a higher position in the community, such as Zyvant being moderator, or Scotty running an official crew, or them feeling that there's not enough evidence. It is the moderation team's duty to protect those playing the game as well as enforce against rule breakers, not protect the wrongdoers because they have a high position in the game. In my view, I think the moderators knew full well what they were doing, and when they protected people like Zyvant despite the evidence, they just covered it up. And on the topic of moderators, let's move on to the moderation section. The moderation is definitely interesting as a topic. It's quite interesting to know about with the stuff that the moderation put in place, for example the hidden rules or how they punish criticism. The moderation team is fragile at their best. Criticism. It can be in many forms: logical, factual, constructive or destructive. However, criticism isn't defined as straight up hating on someone, slandering someone or being violent. It's giving your view on said topic in a variety of different ways. There's no right or wrong way to being critical of something, and anything perceived as wrong most likely isn't criticism. It's something worse. Enter Joe. Oh god, not again. Joe's perception on criticism is that it should be done in a certain manner and that it can't be problematic to the community. It's as if he's saying you can criticise Tradelands but not make the game look bad, as that's problematic in the Joe B official dictionary. Unless by what he means from problematic is people being aggressive and causing genuine issues such as raiding or breaking Tradelands set rules in the process, then that wouldn't even be criticism. That would just be being virulent. However, given Joe's definition of virulent is posting a few images on an ex-mod and having opinions against them, I personally feel Joe doesn't want bad criticism to the game and will oppress anyone who speaks out about the game. Joe also states that he doesn't ban people for criticising the game. Odd. How do you explain this then? This is a user called Preslow who is muted for the reason of criticising the game, and they're muted by Lovecake, a Tradelands moderator. The user in question claimed they posted the phrase "commit eject" from Tradelands. When the user opened a modmail thread and asked why they were muted, which is a reasonable enough thing to do, the moderation team avoided the question. They knew they fucked up. Lovecake even said that they were worried of the new players getting bad ideas on the game. You could even consider the price guide incident as a means of banning users' criticism, as I did critique the game by saying things I said about Zyvermorph. A lot of people knew or have experienced the moderators being upset with criticism across Tradelands and have taken action against them. The moderation team also banned off a lot of people on biased assumptions, usually for past situations or the mod's just not liking that user. It's unfair. Most of the time, the moderators flex the rules around so they can ban someone they don't like. Take Price Guide as an example. A user called Ninevo was banned on the terms of supporting violent behaviour. The user had one line of text in there about me which read, "Viceroy of platform for abuse," making a joke of what Joe said when he called Price Guide a platform for abuse. It's clear the moderators just did not like Ninevo, as he was an administrator for Price Guide during the hot water between me and Price Guide versus the Tradelands moderation team.
Please, have a
shitty game.
There have been other cases where users have gone into hot water with the mods, then subsequently being removed from Tradelands for rules they didn't even break. Another example, a situation known as a paddle incident, which involved a user called II Joshua who battled against the moderation in giving up a valuable paddle, which was recalled by moderation. The user exclaimed the paddle had been given to him several days before the person who gave it to him, known as Aero, was banned, and also numerous times before that. When Narnarstein gave the reason as to why Aero was banned, Narnarstein said that he was banned for having a toxic rant in a crew Discord, which is not the Tradelands Discord, and that resulted in him getting game banned. A rant, which shouldn't go against any TLO rules unless it contained raw material that did, in an external server that wasn't on the Tradelands Discord server, on Discord, somehow resulted in a full game ban for this user. Jesus Christ, I'm so bloody done. You shouldn't consider the rules of a Tradelands Discord server when you're in a completely different server. Another being a user called Slimy Rushy P, who posted this emote. Narnarstein dialed it as racist. Slimy cooperated and recognised for his actions. Then Narnarstein pulled a moot on him after he realised his mistake. It would be fine if the emote was racist, but it wasn't. It was just a picture of some dude with black skin. That's not racist. It's understandable if it's a closed circle friend server or community and you want to ban someone you don't like, but not a game with 44 million plays where people spend hours and money on the game just be kicked out because they wanted to make the game better. Based on bias, the moderators are more friendly towards those who suck up for them or spend a lot of money on the game. It's these sorts of people who are less likely to be banned for rule breaking because of their friendship with the mods. A case study, for example, is Dragon Doom, big spender. How to get the Robux? Third parties. Dragon has publicly admitted to material that heavily hinders towards him third partying. He actually told me in direct messages a place to buy third party Robux, and in the servers he publicly shared this information, one being the Tradelands auction server. The moderators have access to these chats as the moderators are also in these servers where Dragon Doom has admitted. Nar even said that those who used third-party Robux would get trade banned. However, there's been no action at all against Dragon, most likely because he spends millions of Robux on Tradelands, and Nar overlooks it because he sees the amount of money he earns from Tradelands from the transactions. Moderator bias. There's also a lot of hidden rules across Tradelands, many to do with storage alts, panic trading, and etc. A lot of rules the moderators say there are actually aren't stated on the rules list. Take storage alts as an example. There's nowhere on the rules list which states any rules on storage alts, yet the moderation gives certain guidelines on storage alts that aren't stated in the Tradelands rules, such as having to inform moderation every time you have a new alt account made. Nowhere in the rules is this stated, however, it's prohibited by the moderation. There's also no rules on panic trading, however that's somehow illegal. And there's also a lot of issues that come up with panic trading, such as the paddle incident which we saw earlier, and somehow that's against Tradelands rules, but it's not stated. There was also a case where someone sold custom uniforms that they made. Again, nowhere on the rules is this illegal. It's perfectly allowed and many users have done it before. However, judging by the screenshot, the user was in an official navy, so it's highly unlikely they owned their own navy or crew, but again, nowhere is it stated that this is illegal. However, they were met with a 2-week ban and navy time reset for a rule that isn't even listed anywhere, which moderators most likely made up. There's so many cases, people being kicked from an invite in their bio when there wasn't a rule at the time, people being banned for saying someone simps to someone, people being banned for saying Nara's my son, I will ban you, which is clearly a joke and somehow misinterpreted as a bloody impersonation. So many cases of people being wrongly mistreated for actions that supposedly broke rules, but didn't, as they weren't even listed. And what happens after you get banned? You appeal. Well, the mods are extremely sensitive there, too. Joe has stated before that you don't need a long ban appeal. All you need is a few words and an apology. However, apparently they also need grammar? Never knew that affected a ban appeal, which is pretty stupid to decline someone over grammar. And they also needed to be remorseful. I mean, someone said they're sorry. That's enough, right? You can't just expect someone to go knees down and suck you off and see that as being remorseful. There's also one more thing I'd like to go over with Zyvanolf. From an independent source, I was informed that Zyvan was harassing a user, trying to get their phone number, Discord, anything, and wouldn't leave them alone for hours and followed them into other games. It's honestly really disgusting, and it feels shameful that the moderation team have done. The moderation team are also heavy on censorship, especially on stuff that points against them. A prime example is the price guide incident, and Joe getting me banned there for speaking about Zyvan. He also got me banned off other unofficial Tradelands servers, such as UFA, Tradelands Auctions, Tradelands Tacken server, Tradelands Law Firm, and also the other Tradelands Tracker Discord. He also censored common when the same user called Aero from the paddle incident. I've been told this and the paddle incident are linked, as this is what started the rant Aero had, where Joe used a falsified screenshot of the user planning to raid TLO. Joe kept clearing the chat when he realised a mistake and kept censoring what had happened, threatening mutes and bans and blockading freedom of speech against Joe. The image was false, as the profile picture wasn't the same, with his actual profile including the entire figure shown here, whereas on the falsified image it was semi-cropped at the hat. I was also made aware that politically motivated bans are also being handed out. On the 24th of February, just after Russia began its attack onto Ukraine, people were talking about it in Tradelands. A user referenced Ukraine fighting separatists in 2014 and exclaimed Ukraine was taking an L. They were banned. And it's funny because it's entirely politically motivated, and again, there wasn't a single rule regarding talking about politics or countries in said way. When the user got into contact with Joe got numerous facts wrong and was not helpful at all. He said that what the user was talking about was present day related, it wasn't, and justified the ban. No rule states that this isn't allowed. It was a politically motivated ban and links in with censorship. I had just finished editing this entire section when I was made aware that Joe was making unofficial Discord server owners hand Joe ownership in an effort of liability insurance, in case the owner were to go rogue. Basically, what this means is Joe wanted ownership in the case people spoke negatively about Tradelands so he could censor it. It's their server at the end of the day. Whether they willingly complied, I don't know, but the reason of reliability is hilarious and really comes to show how little the moderators think of the average user. It's unappeasing to see a user go to such lengths to censor the truth and feels almost dystopian. We haven't come to your game to shit on it. We've came to have fun, and some people just want to voice opinions and share the content they've been made aware of, like myself with this video. We're not living in 1984. Stop treating us so little and making the player base so corrupted full of censorship. Many people I've asked to feature in this video have even told me they're afraid of being banned for featuring in a video which spoke out about these moderators. As a player base, we should be united, not torn apart. It's not just me who has these views on the moderation. I wanted to share what other big Tradelands players think of the game.
I don't have a good opinion on the game for more than a couple reasons. There's the moderation, which has these things, which I suppose the best way to call them would be rubber laws, pretty much, or rubber rules. There's just rules which are so badly explained, which it can be left to interpretation. So if a mod doesn't like you, and mods usually don't like the people they're banning, they can say, oh, there's a rule against harassment. Is this guy harassing? Maybe he is. He's probably not. But we can make it look like that. We can stretch it all the way to that and ban this guy we don't like.
Moderation is done poorly. People are often banned based on little to no evidence or biased feeling. For example, there are countless unnamed rules that have led to the removal of many good community contributors, or being for criticizing the game in any form. I've had a lengthy discussion with Joe in the past where he openly admits to banning myself from the game according to the fact I called it bad. I believe these rules are non-existent entirely, as displaying them in the Discord would make the game look quite undesirable. Instead, I believe these unnamed rules are in fact acts of emotion based on how much you hurt the mod/dev's feelings.
To be honest, it's not even about changing Tradelands anymore. If I had infinite power with no consequences, I'd just remake the entire game with modern coding, features, mechanics, and interaction with the community. As for moderation, it's meh. It's not good, but it's not bad either. Obviously, you can't sit in a moderation team because that wouldn't change anything. It would have to take a lot of serious improvements internally to be much better. Other major changes I would have made would be the interaction with the community and the moderation. You're earning a not insignificant amount from the game. Treat the player base and those around you in a professional manner. It is a business, not a school playground. The law on faction scale stuff was an utter mess for a lot of reasons. Implement it properly or not at all.
Moderation TL is biased and poorly done by moderators. Little to no legitimate research is ever done before a ban, and many mods have been caught convincing people to do certain things in order to give them just grounds for a ban. I advised active Tradelands players watching this video be wary of moderators like Epicmon and Birdie or Zai, and that one furry guy who was Zai, that I keep forgetting the name of. It's Zai. These certain mods, I assure you, have faked relationships with community members and competing crews in order to earn their trust in the past, just so they can find a way to earn a just ground for banning them.
Hell, in some ways, it's not even that. It's just so on the nose that they banned you because they don't like you. But still, the devs, the owners, they don't do anything to fix these things. They don't care. Because most of the people getting banned, they're not the ones that spend money. They're the average player. And they're also the ones that give the most criticism to the game. A lot of people who are leaving the player base, the average day players who get tired of all the bullshit that the mods do on them.
From when I did play, it was a good game. The combination between the genre, gameplay, and long-term goals of collecting wealth were unique and highly engaging. The community and teamwork side of things were often enhanced in most aspects of the gameplay. There were flaws in the mechanics and things I would have liked to see done differently, but that is true of most games. A lot of games' faults is linked to monetization, which I feel was done very poorly. As for moderation, I felt it was done very unprofessionally.
The game itself was a grindy, repetitive mess. It ran mostly on the player economy. What made it fun was people you played with and the crews you got to fight. It feels great to successfully best a crew and spam the chat with GGs after a successful skirmish. These joys started to fade as the TL development team began to revive and make reforms to the game. They ended up rigging an event against Whitecrest Navy that did not work to the best of the high ranks time zones in Whitecrest Navy, and then they ended up getting rid of HH and Epic Dogman. This was my burnout phase, where I lost taste in the game. I took many breaks from the game, unable to reignite that joy I once held while fighting active crews.
Tradelands is, in my opinion, one of the most fascinating games that promotes the ability for the player to change what happens to the game. The fact that any player can affect the lore/story of Tradelands and bring real consequences is amazing and truly shows the powers to the player. I also like the naval aspect of it. It's relaxing and incredibly fun with buddies. Unfortunately, it became to a stagnant, arrogating and disappointing state with the roleplay aspects almost stripped away from the player and the gameplay coming to such a boring state. Because the player is becoming too greedy and trying to find a way to get what they want in roleplay that isn't fun, it caused everyone to have that power stripped away. Gameplay just got boring. The game is 5 years old and incredibly difficult to update it to the modern Roblox platform, which is understandable, but I wish the game was much more interactive and fun. And there we have it. Big people such as Joovis and Worldcast coming on and voicing their opinions. I was planning to feature a large section on gameplay in this video. It was about 20 to 30 minutes long, and it would marginally be going over key aspects of the game. But most of this was opinionated, and I've tried to keep at least this video as far from that as possible, and stated where I can that it's my opinion. I've decided to wipe this section and turn a video into a two-parter, because the video was exceeding an hour and I don't want a mix of more opinionated points and factual points. I will make a second video addressing the game and my view on it directly. As for now, we're at the end of the video. I thank you so much for watching. I know I've sounded like an unenthusiastic hand job, but I've tried to get my points across, and hopefully I have. Thank you.